I don't think it is. I think we're live now. Well, hello. This is a bit strange. I think we are live, right?
It's called start. Yeah, let's start.
Yeah, it's a
we
cool
are.
start. Okay, let's maybe start with just a quick intro, and then we'll showcase the new twist and also how we use twist, and just give you a general idea of how a team that has used twist for many years actually looks like. Um, yeah. So let's start with the intro. I'm Amir, founder and CEO of Doist, and we have Hugo.
Yeah, I've been the product lead for the new twist revamp. So very happy to be here and talk about how we work and the decisions behind the new twist with Amir.
Yeah. I mean, Hugo, maybe this would be the general structure is we'll just start with a Q&A where I ask Hugo some questions or why we have used so much time on this. And then we'll do the product demo and also showcase of how you use Twist. And then we'll have Q&A where you can ask any questions that are related to Twist or even non-Twist. So first question, Hugo, for you is why did we do Twist in the first place? What was kind of the trigger for this?
So Twist started about 6 years ago. And so at the time, Doist was using and trialing Slack. So we kind of liked it at the beginning, and very quickly it started to be very always on culture, and we felt drained by the channels, lots of discussions, never ending. So that's where, because we are a fully remote team, that's a good thing to note. We have people around 10, 20 time zones. I don't even remember. 30 countries. It's a lot of people all around the world. So we kind of have to operate async. So in a way that when I reply to something, I don't need someone to be live replying real time to me. Otherwise, we can't operate well, and it's just a failure. So we had this setting very specific at the time, probably very niche, where we just needed to operate async, and Slack was not working for us. We couldn't do meetings because, try to do a meeting with people in Taiwan and someone in Seattle and you in France. It's just not working out sometimes. So we just write some stuff down and share a lot by writing through messaging. And so we just build it for ourselves because we are a product company, and that felt just right to do. We started Twist then with this kind of idea that we needed to build for this async future, but it wasn't very, molded in the mission. It was kind of doing and trialing stuff for ourselves, like dog fooding the product, see if it works. And when we launched, we had this old version that we just switched from. That was pretty busy, less, not as focused as we wanted to have, maybe not as async as we wanted it to be, a bit slow for sure. So that's why we kind of regrouped ourselves. We felt like with the COVID situation, it was the best time to start fresh, reset the mission, reset the values we had for the new twist, and that's going to be transparency, fast. It needs to be very fast. It needs to be very focused. We want to empower people, creators, to build stuff, not spend their time trying to catch up on emails and chat. Super important for us. And the main one is async. So that's going to be the values we built on, and the whole new twist is just built on these values. We had heated debates on what we should include or remove, the presence indicators and typing dots. Everything is kind of triggered on this. And the mission is going to be to make work more async and accelerate the transition. So that's super exciting. Like it feels like we have this new beginning as the real V1 for Doist. And we'll continue to build a lot of new stuff and just make sure that people have this new solution for async work. Yeah.
So Hugo, like something that I've seen a lot on, especially Twitter, is kind of like people that just say, you know, why don't you just use email, or, you know, why don't you just configure Slack and make it like this async heaven?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think email is a great tool. Like it's been around for decades. Thing is, when you are working with a team, everyone has their own email inbox. Everyone has their own client and weird setting. So you don't really see the same thing. And that makes it hard to collaborate because, well, if I forget to CC or BCC, whatever, you on the thread in an email, then you just don't get the information, and that's never gonna be present in your email inbox. So that's a problem. If you want to collaborate, you need to have stuff that is accessible, and that is the case in Doist. It's a shared place. You can access all the channels where we have discussions. You can join them if you need to participate. And yeah, everyone is using the same modern tool that is built for 2021 and then not 1990. Yeah, about Slack. Slack is a great tool. Like we used it at the beginning at Doist, but it's very much built for real time and kind of casual chat. So this is where you kind of chat, and it's sort of never ending. So you can always have like these rules, but it feels like it's working around the product. Like the product is built for a certain type of engagement, and Doist is different in a way that we just built it for this purpose of great, thoughtful discussions on topic in one thread. Everything is a thread. You have a link to everything. You can reference them back. You can close discussions. You can share outcomes, and you can search more easily throughout the whole collaboration channels. So yeah, I think Doist is if you need that, then Doist is much better, I think. And I'm biased, of course.
Of course, yeah, we are all super biased. Yeah, I mean, you touched a bit on like why we kind of redesigned it from almost the ground up, and also like some of the guiding principles. Maybe we should actually just like showcase the product demo and just like show people around in like a real Doist workspace.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I will do that. I will just actually lower my and sit down.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a very CEO moment.
Yeah. So let me just see here. Share my screen. Share the entire screen. Okay, I think people should be able to see my screen. And actually, like we are going to use the real Doist, like our real Doist. So I hope actually nothing like comes up here like Hugo is fired, or something other like sensitive stuff. Yeah, I mean I have like some stuff planned here. I can walk through. I will walk through like the inbox view, which is kind of the star view of the new Doist, and then I will show like how a channel view looks like, and then I will show a bit of messages, bit of settings, bit of search, and then we'll also do like an action to just so you can see like how it is. So let's start with just like with the inbox. I mean, something that's like very cool about the new Doist is you have like an active tab and a done tab. An active tab is basically like it collects all the stuff that you're tagged on, and they are still active. So you have not really like triaged it yet, and it actually does it from all the channels that you're part of. So you know, like I'm part of maybe like 100 something channels, maybe even more. and it just like triage all of the activity. And that's very cool. Like the old Twist, like we basically had like a never-ending stream for the inbox, and you never actually knew like if you were done or not. So this is like super cool. And like even you don't actually need to go into a thread to mark it done. You can just like mark it here, and then, or you can just like do this and then like E to mark it done. So something that we have worked a lot on is basically like keyboard accessibility, and like it's really a keyboard first product. So like I can actually go like GE to go to the done tab, or GI to go to the inbox, and then you can use like the Vim or like Gmail shortcuts to go up and down. Yeah, so this is like super cool. So let's just go into a thread, and if I just like resize a bit, like also when you try, like if you just want to reply fast, you can do that by just like pressing R. So yeah, I think that this is something that's like super useful, and like it makes workflows much easier. So you can also just like press escape to go back to the inbox view, and basically, you know, it takes like, it's much faster than the old Twist where we almost didn't have any shortcuts. Yeah. So that's one aspect of this. I'm unsure, like, Hugo, should I go into something more regarding the inbox?
No, I think it's a good overview. What changes really that compared to other tools that you may be used to? This is like a single place to catch up on discussions you're part of. So in Twist, you can tag specifically people in discussions, so you don't really just notify everyone at the same time all the time. You just cater to whoever needs to hear about what you want to say. Yeah, that's where. And that's
you can
where
also direct mention somebody to get like their.
Yeah, so that's where it's gonna come into your inbox, and from the inbox you can catch up, reply, and mark down when you're done, and just see what's relevant. That's good.
Yeah,
There's an
and
end to
also
work.
something, I'm very far away from inbox zero, but like the inbox zero screen is pretty cool as well. So like my workflow is basically to try to hit this, and then I'm free for today. Yeah. Another thing that I think could maybe be cool for people is there's like a deeper Todoist integration. So you can actually just like press Shift A and add like any thread or like conversation into a task. And this way you can actually also triage using Todoist. So you can add it here, and then you can mark it down here, and then it's basically done, like gone from the inbox, and you have it in Todoist where you can kind of like manage it, like add due dates, priorities, labels, etc. So I use this a lot because I usually have like a lot of activity inside Twist, and sometimes I just kind of like respond to something. Yeah. So let's maybe go into the channel view now, and just like show you a bit of how this works. So in the old Twist, actually, we had like 3 columns, and it's kind of like very messy, and it felt like very overwhelming, like information-wise, because you will have like the left, you will have the thread list, and then you have the comments or like the content. So in the new Twist, we have basically like super streamlined it. It's just like one screen. It makes it very easy to see like what channel you're part of. It makes it easy to see the subscription, who is part of this channel. And then the threads are also like really neat. You can get like a bit of preview of the last comment or like the content that is in them. And then you also see that in Twist, like it's basically like thread first approach, where in Slack it's kind of like message or comment first. So you have like all the comments segmented by like threads, by topics. So if you go here, you will just see like one that's related to the retrospective, and you can basically see like how we retrospect on like a project that was actually basically 1.1 iteration of the
inbox.
Twist inbox. And then also like, you know, a lot of like content inside Twist. It's not like one-liner. So you see like Hugo, he's starting off with a lot of content, and then people, you know, also like respond sometimes with a lot of stuff. They add like files and stuff inside this. So it's like much richer communication form than something like Slack, which is mostly like one-liners. Here it's kind of like a mix between like maybe like a document and you know, email and Slack. It's kind of like a, and then, you know, people can choose themselves of how, if they want to do like one-liner or if they want to do something like that's bigger.
The point is that you have a good place to discuss thoughtfully. You have like a great composer experience. It's meant to, like, instead of doing a retrospective as a meeting that we could have done, as most companies would do, I actually prefer to do this async, so people had time to think instead of just being on the, you know, on the real-time meeting and just not really knowing what to say because it's stressful. Then here they had time to think. So yeah, this one place is amazing for that. And you can reference it back. No need to take meeting notes.
Yeah. And something you can like show off is basically like how you can reference stuff. So also something that's I think unique with Twist is that you can close a discussion. So you can basically close a thread off, and then you can actually like press plus to reference something else. So or you can just like paste a link to that. Closing this down. So like this doesn't really make sense. Like it's a self-reference, but you know, you can kind of like close it down, and then you kind of get like a neat link back to the thread, and then also you can actually see here in Twist, like you can see whenever something like references another thing, and then you basically like build automatic links between the content. So this is also like very unique, and I don't think like any other like messaging tool actually has this.
No, and closing a thread is really important because you can actually give an end to a discussion. You can recap something. Like usually we would recap the discussion and give a quick summary. Probably we would include some outcome, like decision. This is what we decided. And if people need to reopen the thread, it's possible. You can always reopen. It's like in GitHub, much more proactive, for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of that aspect of that, and then you know we can go to the messages, and basically messages are more like relaxed. It's like one-on-one, like me and Hugo. You know, you can do like a giphy stuff, and you know, just like a more relaxed, and you can also have like a more general chat between like everybody inside the company. So it's like a 100-member chat, and I think it's just also very unique to Twist. Is like we actually mix like messaging, like you know, direct messaging, with like something that's you know more thread based. And this is also cool because a lot of times, for instance, like in product tea time channel, we discuss stuff that's important. And then we just basically, when you search, you know, you can just search all of the team knowledge. And I think we have like almost 2 million messages inside the Doist team system. So let me just like try a search here for like, Andreas is like a famous PM from Stripe. So yeah, so basically you can see like any time we have actually mentioned him, you can see his comments. So that is, I think, very cool, and something that you don't have if you use like something like email and Slack. Like you basically have 2 different systems, and you don't really have an easy access to like search and find the information that you have. So one of the other things we wanted to show is just the new settings. So like we have completely redone them. You can open them by going OS or just like from the left. And here you can basically have a count, billing, members and groups. Yeah, so that's just a small thing. I'm not sure, like Hugo, if there's anything other here we should cover.
I mean, yeah, we definitely simplified Twist. You used to have threads and then separated tab for messages and then another one for settings and another one for the team. So it's kind of streamlined and simpler. Yeah. I think we could move on to how we used to how we use Twist at Doist. Possibly.
Yeah. Sure.
There's a lot of stuff we kind of do in house to collaborate async, because we have now 90 people or so in the company, and most people spread out throughout the world. So we need to collaborate. Most of the time is spent collaborating through Twist. We have a few meetings a day, but like if Amir wants to show the calendar, it's probably like 3 a week, even for the CEO. So yeah, most time is just written down in threads, and that's where we do the decisions. That's where we chat, have fun. That's where we debate, share announcements, brainstorm, get feedback on new ideas. So this is really where everything goes at Doist. So yeah, I think it can be interesting to show a bit what kind of interesting workflows we created throughout the last 6 years.
Sure. That sounds great, Hugo. I mean, we can maybe start off with like snippets. And snippets are basically like recurring threads. So in Twist, you can actually like create a thread that's kind of recurring. So that means like, and you can kind of plan it. So for us, it's like weekly. You can do it daily or monthly. And what it basically asks, like each team is like they need to provide the snippets of what they will do this week and what they have done last week. So that was kind of the general idea. And then we have kind of like advanced this. So we actually like some teams have tied this to the core values of Doist.
Content.
So but basically it's kind of like it gives you an update of what people are working on, what they have worked on, and how things are going. And usually like in other companies you use like stand-up meetings for this. In Doist it's kind of like written form, and it's also like fully transparent, so you can actually go in and like see what, for instance, I have worked on, or what Brenna has worked on, our CMO. But you can also like go to any other team, like Apple team, and see what they are doing. And of course, like different teams have like different structures. So like the design team also switched recently, so it's kind of like based on like the core values. And honestly, I think like this makes a lot of sense. And like if you look at the snippets, it's based like a never-ending stream of these things, and it adds so much transparency and like also just clarity. Like if you're unsure like what Oleg is doing, like you can just go in and check his snippets out to kind of
everything is in the open. You can see what the CXO team is doing. You can see what the backend team is doing, which is great. Like you get an overview of what's going on at the company. And instead of like, as you said, doing 2 hours of meetings per week for that information, we basically save 200 hours a week collectively. That's pretty massive.
Yeah. And even like meetings, it's only for the people. It's usually accessible only for the people that are part of the meeting. So like you don't actually have like like accessibility to that information. And something that I have actually started to use as well is kind of like use the references. So this means like you have kind of like the references where I have like provided feedback or been part of. You can also like link to like GitHub issues and etc. So honestly, like it's a super powerful way, especially like with linking and like richer formatting, that you probably couldn't have like in a meeting. Even if you have a meeting and you keep notes, you don't usually like link to content and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it. Maybe
so
something else we could show is the
just to like if you want this for your team, you can basically go in and install it. It's called team check-in, and you can basically use the team check-in to like automate stuff, like creation of threads.
You can always have like a private channel, but most stuff we have at Doist is I think 99% of the stuff is in the open for the workspace. Something else we could show is maybe like an example of where we have like debates, long discussions that will replace, again, like instead of having everyone in the office, like we don't really have an office. We can't have an office. So we have discussions in Doist. And for example, if you go to the heads group, having a chat in the Doist heads channel, we talk about stuff all the time, create the path for the company. And this is also cool because it's in the open. So if I'm not a head at Doist, but I can go in and see what the heads are talking about for the leadership and what they want to do to have like employees like me get better at Doist, which is very cool.
Yeah, I mean, usually, like in normal companies, like leadership discussions are kind of like private. In Doist, like it's usually open, and then like also some of them like they go on for a long time. So like it's kind of like a never-ending topic that maybe gets closed at some point and maybe not. But yeah. I think it's a super powerful way, embracing like transparency and like having stuff out in the open. Like even if you actually don't really include the whole company, just being able to link. So for instance, like if somebody has a question regarding like hands-on management, you can basically link to this, and then they can actually see like how the final like call has been set and like what the discussion was. So this is super powerful.
We have a question from Daniel. Hey Daniel, good to see you here. We're going to show you how we structure the channels at Doist. Doist is very specific because we work on two products at the same time. So we have Doist and Twist. So the main type of channels I think would be the department ones or like very large topic ones. Like for example, you have Doist support, you have Doist integrations. The teams have their own channels. So we use them a lot. Then the second type of channel we would have, that would be maybe the cycles. So we work by cycle at Doist. Every month is a new project. We call them Doist objectives. So this is like a recap of that's where you get all the discussions for a specific project. So for example, we worked on the inbox. Everything was in one place. I can always go back to reference discussions we had about the inbox, why we made it that way. It's going to be there, the whole thing. Very cool to do. I would recommend to have one channel per project, so you can always go back more easily. And it's just a great way to communicate throughout the cycle. Because at Doist, the people that work on projects, they often change. So I worked with maybe 25 people throughout the process of the new Twist. So it's not just like static teams. That's where we use Twist to communicate. Other ones, I guess we have others, like we have some specific to the products at Todoist and Twist. Depends on the companies. We have some companies with a lot of client work and they would have a channel per client they have. And then finally, I think we have a few ones. I don't know if you're part of them, Amir. Kind of fun ones. We tag them with the Z at the end. like the book club, we have a book club at Doist, or like there's a lot of coffee nerds, 30 of them. Wow. Grinders. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we can also have some fun and chat about common interests we have. Yeah, coffee is a big one.
I'm pretty sure this is
Christoph.
yeah. Yeah. Very niche. Okay. Another thing we have as well is kind of like one of my favorites, like inspiration, where you can actually share something that inspires you, and it can kind of be like about writing, or like even like competitors or etc. Yeah. So the Doist inspiration is something that we use a lot, and something that I think like is much better than something like, for instance, like if you have a Slack channel with this, is that you can actually have like deeper discussions. So like if you look at our superhuman thread, it's basically like years long, where we basically added stuff, yeah, and like it's so yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, I guess we have another question that could be answered right now from Christian. Yeah, I think we can recommend to structure your channels by the organization you have. So the main ones would be the departments. And then if you have a few projects that need collaboration across teams, for sure do that. It's very helpful. Yeah. There's another question about like how we avoid creating a new channel, but there's like a duplicate. So there's a channel browser where you can go in and see before you create a new one. You can always go in and make sure you haven't recreated the same channel. You can always archive them. Yeah, make sure it's still there. Everything is kind of still there. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of work going on. And for threads, you can always search for them. Yeah, it's a bit of like something you kind of know where a thread is because we're from the projects you're in or from the team you're a part of. You can always filter from like more specifically. Yeah.
And also something that's cool is like it searches in both like active and old archived. So you can see this like a lot of content that's being searched when you actually search for stuff.
Maybe something else I got a question about is that how do we
just maybe stop sharing, or should we still share?
Oh, you can share, I guess. Like okay. how do you bring people together at Doist? Like you hired people from the beginning remotely. How do you make sure that they have fun, they have a good time? It's not just work. How do you make that happen at Doist? So we talked a bit about the like interest channels. I know we have a few threads like from Pierre, like asking Doist about anything, which could be like, what is your favorite video game? And we have this kind of discussions. Yeah, everything is in the lounge. We have a thread to like share praise about people. Yeah, reading. Happy birthdays, they would go in as well. It's like automated by David. I just created a bot that would just share the birthdays anytime that happens. Yeah. So that's a good way to bond at Doist. Sometimes, and for sure, like we have sync time together. We have a few meetings, like the casual hangouts that the PeopleDocs team has created. Yeah. Like every month you have a like trio group that is created and you can just chat at the convenient time. So it's a good way to meet people. Like we're growing companies, so we need to make sure like people are connected.
Yeah, and I think it's also like a fallacy to actually think that you need to kind of have like chit chat to like build bonds between people. I don't think you need that. Like you also have like really like tight knit communities. For instance, like Reddit communities, some of those are very tight knit and like, it's not real time communication. Yeah, and this said, like I still think like even in asynchronous and remote world, you actually need to meet people to really bond and know people. So yeah, that's something that we have missed a lot. Yeah. So you actually need to meet at some point people, I think, to really build stronger bonds.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions we could answer? Christian, you have a ton of channels. Yeah, Amir is part of a ton of channels. Like if I share my screen, I probably have like half channels I joined. Amir, how do you not get lost in all these channels? What's the process? I guess the inbox is helpful.
Inbox helps a lot because like it only shows me stuff I'm tagged on and that I actually need to respond to. So most of the times, like I am part of a lot of channels, but like I never actually go to them. Like there's some channels that I like go a lot on in, like Doist CXO, which is basically where we discuss stuff. But other than that, like most of the stuff is basically inbox, and then there's a neat shortcut. It's like Command Shift K. We can basically use it to go in quickly to like a channel.
That's internal only.
It's internal. Like, yeah, I mean, this will actually come at some point, right? Like, command
the
K,
command menu.
Proper. But honestly, like this is super useful when you have a lot, and that's something I use a lot for like navigation between the channels. And I think like this is also something that will improve, like just making much easier to kind of like navigate around in Twist. It's still kind of like for the left menu, you kind of need to use the mouse a lot if you don't have the Shift Command K shortcut. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we need to build that into the new desktop apps. I don't think if there's any other question we could field in. Christian, thanks. Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, I think that's it for us. Any other famous last word, Amir?
I mean, not really. I think like this is basically like you're seeing like our team using Twist over like 5+ years, and so maybe actually like if you're starting out like thinking a bit about the structure because like we have actually never really done that. Like we have basically like done it like a very organic way, which is maybe not the best thing to do. So like I think for you, given that you can kind of like start from fresh, then you can kind of think about like information hierarchy a bit, and that can probably go a long way. And maybe also do something that's like scalable. I think like also a problem I can see is like for us, if you just kind of do it like in a very organic way, you will end up with a lot of channels.
But it's maybe don't overthink it as well. Like you can try stuff out. You can always archive, see what fits best. And as you saw, like Amir has a ton of channels, but you can actually like navigate, go back into threads from 2 years ago easily. Like it's not just a wall of text. It's structured, so you can always go into search and go to a specific channel. Everything is there. It's never missing. So that's still like the tool is working for you. You don't have to think too much.
Yeah, that's a great point, Hugo. And honestly, like this is not something that bothers me a lot. Like, so if it bothered me, like I'll probably like quit some of those channels or like, but I don't know.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I guess it's the end of the live. No more questions we could field. I think that was fun to do. The new Twist is super exciting. We have big plans for the future. Like this is V1 for sure. Like we have a lot of things to build and iterate on. So the feedback from users is going to be super helpful. We want to build this async future for companies. So that's just where we're going. If you want in, sign up. That's my CTA. And yeah, well, it's going to be fun. I think we have a lot of good projects in the future upcoming. So yeah, I don't know what's the last word, the process to live this, Amir. But
no, I think that you said it very well. We are very excited, and this is kind of like V1, and there's like a huge journey ahead of like just building stuff, and yeah, hearing also how people use it. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, also something I think like it's really another world. Like I think async, like it's a really another way to work and live, and like you probably also like you need to get used to it as well. So just like jumping into it will maybe feel like a bit off, but after
yeah, it's
time,
an experiment.
And I don't think like, people will actually want to go back. It's kind of like remote work versus like office work. Like if you look at the current like surveys, it's like 90% of people don't ever want to go back to office. So and maybe like it's the same thing. It's like real time work and like asynchronous. Like I think most people will actually prefer asynchronous if they became like good at it.
For sure. Yeah, this is a great point. I think we can end on this. Great wisdom from Amir. And yeah, let's see if we can have another one sometime soon. That was fun. All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, folks.